It's hard for me to sum up exactly what Robbie George has meant to our cause or to me personally. He is so respected, so irreplaceable, and to so many aspects of the effort to bring America into fidelity with her founding principles. I think of him as the godfather of our movement. His unimpeachable honesty, his charisma, his depth of thought all lend enormous weight to his work. He's so good, in fact, that he's even earned the respect of many of our most hardened opponents. Harvard Law School, whose faculty you won't find sitting among you here tonight, has invited Robbie to teach there this semester. And Princeton University has honored Robbie with the McCormick Chair of Jurisprudence, formerly held by Woodrow Wilson. Robbie's talents have been recognized by Washington as well as the Academy. Under President Bush, Robbie served on the President's Council for Bioethics, and under President Clinton, Robbie served on the United States Commission on Civil Rights. He's the author of more than a dozen books, including Making Men Moral, In Defense of Natural Law, Clash of Orthodoxies, Embryo, and the forthcoming What is Marriage? Man and Woman, a Defense. Among his many honors are the Presidential Citizens Medal, the Bradley Prize for Intellectual and Civic Achievement, and the Teaching Award at Princeton in politics. Robbie is a serial intellectual and political entrepreneur. In addition to the American Principles Project, Robbie is the founder of the Madison Program at Princeton, the Witherspoon Institute, and a driving force behind the National Organization for Marriage and the Manhattan Declaration. We are all greatly indebted to Robbie George. Robbie?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sean, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it so much. Thank you all. Thank you, Sean, for that very, very generous introduction. There was even one part of it, or at least one word of it, that my academic colleagues at Princeton and now at Harvard would agree with, and that was the reference to me as the Godfather. Now, they wouldn't take it in the same spirit, Sean, that you gave it, but at least they would recognize some truth in that. Gosh, do I have a delightful responsibility this evening. And that is to introduce my former student, Ted Cruz, Senator-elect from Texas. Let me tell you, for a teacher, and I've now been in the business for 27 years, for a teacher, it does not get better than this. To have a student of such extraordinary gifts, using those gifts to fight for the best and the highest causes, to fight for the principles on which the nation is founded, the principles to which we must repair if we're to find our way back. To have such a student be bold enough to make the challenge when everyone said it wasn't possible, when everyone assumed he was simply trying to get some name recognition for a future run. To have a student who had the integrity to fight hard and to fight well and to fight honestly and to stand by our principles. Let me tell you, it does not get better than that. Ted studied with me in the area of constitutional law, did his thesis on the limits of the power of the federal government. People used to believe in limits to the power of the federal government. I recently sent Chief Justice Roberts a copy of Ted's thesis. I was kicking myself for not sending it to him earlier. But of course, it was a brilliant piece of work. Even it would have been a brilliant piece of work for a scholar at a major law school. But Ted was a 21-year-old kid. But it was a terrific piece of work. And although evidently Chief Justice Roberts hasn't read the thesis, Ted informed me this evening, that actually a third person, that is someone besides Ted and myself, has read the thesis. It turns out that the reporter doing a hit job for Mother Jones, looking to dig up something juicy, got into the Princeton library, and you're not allowed to photocopy the thesis, but evidently he scanned it with his iPhone. And it figures in the article in Mother Jones, not that any of us would have seen that. But anyway, so he evidently has read the thesis, so at least 3 of us have read the thesis. Ted believes what we believe, and that's why it's so wonderful at our inaugural dinner to have Ted here. It was captured exactly by Sean Filer. That is the concept of the dignity of the human person. That's what it's all about. That's where it all begins, and ultimately that's where it ends. Why do we believe in this great principle of the sanctity of human life? Because we really do believe that each and every member of the human family, without respect to race or ethnicity or sex or alienage, without regard to age or size or stage of development or condition of dependency, has a profound and inherent and equal dignity. We capture that in the Judeo-Christian tradition in the idea that the human being, though fashioned from the dust of the earth, is nevertheless made in the very image and likeness of the divine creator and ruler of the universe. Why do we believe in the dignity and importance of marriage as the conjugal union of husband and wife? Why do we believe in the marriage-based family? Why do we believe that the family, the religious community, the civic association, the private associations, the fraternal organizations that are so critical to the well-being of society, why do we believe they have to be there? Why do we want to protect their integrity and autonomy from the depredations of central governmental power? Why are we so insistent on these principles? It's because we know that without those institutions of civil society functioning in a proper way, in a healthy way, with their integrity and autonomy respected, the rights of parents, for example, to direct the upbringing and education of their children, we know without those, human beings cannot flourish. And if we believe in the dignity of the human being, then we must believe in the protection of those institutions. That's why we believe in limited government. We believe that government should be strong and effective within its sphere, but its sphere must be limited. Not only for the sake of individual freedom, though that too, of course, is centrally founded on the principle of the dignity of the human being, but also because we know about the consequences of government usurpation of the authority of the institutions of civil society, beginning with the marriage-based family. We believe in all of those institutions and in protecting their authority and autonomy and integrity because we believe in the dignity of the human person. Why do we believe in economic freedom? Why do we believe in the market system? Now, the left thinks it's because we're greedy, we're cruel, or have some desire to exploit people. No. We believe in economic freedom, and we believe in the market system because we believe in the dignity of the human being. We believe in personal responsibility. We know that the market system, together with the institution of marriage, represents a historically unique mechanism for lifting millions of people out of poverty. You want to fight poverty, I say to my friends on the left, then you should join us in 2 great causes, the cause of marriage and the cause of markets. We now have suffered, of course, a devastating political catastrophe on November 6th. My spiritual cousin Bill Kristol this evening reminded us of a similar catastrophe. The issues were different, but the circumstances were really quite similar in 1964, when Barry Goldwater was very resoundingly defeated by Lyndon Johnson. Well, the conclusion of some was, well, look, if the Democrats have shown the way. They know how to win elections. You abandon your principles and run on theirs. Some Republicans tried that. And they got somewhere with it. But better minds and sounder souls had a better idea. And that was to rebuild the conservative movement, to fight within the Republican Party, to return to the basic principles on which the country was founded. They refused to yield to the temptation to believe that our founding principles are losing principles, that the only way we can win is to mimic the liberals or mimic the progressives, people who had abandoned our nation's founding principles generations ago, believing that the principles of an 18th century document were no use in a 20th century world. Famously, my predecessor as the McCormick Professor of Jurisprudence at Princeton, which Sean mentioned, Woodrow Wilson, said that our Constitution, the American Constitution, the Constitution that we love precisely because it embodies our principles, was a Newtonian document, a Newtonian Constitution that was unfit for a Darwinian age. Liberals don't talk like that anymore, but they still believe it. They've figured out you don't win by attacking our Constitution or attacking our principles, but rather by reinterpreting our Constitution in creative ways and appropriating the language of the Constitution, appropriating the forms of the principles while throwing over their content. Well, let's learn the lesson from our predecessors who, led by then Governor Reagan, rebuilt the conservative movement, not taking a catastrophe as an invitation to abandon ship, but rather to rebuild. Our principles are sound. In this nation, when we have lived by them, we have never regretted it. Often we've felt the temptation to deviate. From the very beginning, we deviated from our great principle of equality by permitting slavery. But we've always struggled, often at great cost, often against each other, to be true to our principles, ever truer to our principles. We've been tempted to abandon them, but as I say, when we've resisted the temptation, we've always in the end been proud of ourselves as a nation. When we have succumbed, it seemed convenient at the time, it seemed important at the time, it seemed necessary at the time, we've always regretted it. So we need to return to those principles. And I'm just so delighted that my great student, in whom I take such pride, is going to be right here in Washington, D.C., in the Senate of the United States, leading the cause to fight for our principles. In TED, I give you my assurance, standing here, I know him. In TED, we have someone who will not sell out, who knows what he believes, who knows why he believes it. He was rather well taught. And when the going gets tough, will simply get tougher.